Greetings again, and welcome back to the lair of centipedes. Now, I figured that I would just use this video as a chance to, have a little bit of a chat about the future of my channel and a couple other matters. Now, as I'm sure you don't just want to stare at me the whole time while I'm doing that, I figured I would also use this video as a chance to showcase one of my favourite centipedes. Alright, so this is Underdale, my flame-legged Scolopendra morsitans from Western Australia. If you followed me on my Instagram, you would have seen a fair bit of him already. Anyway, before I get into the guts of this video, I will give some old, boring, cliched excuses as to why I haven't been uploading very frequently. Study remains the #1 culprit, although now it's university as opposed to high school. For better or for worse, I don't really know yet. I've also got a part-time job, and I plan on starting to drive soon as well. And that leads me on to the next part of my video. I understand that my channel is starting to fall into the trap that a lot of invertebrate-related channels, especially the tarantula ones, tend to fall into. They start to get really repetitive over time, because after all there's only so much you can do with these creatures, feeding, unboxing, rehousing, a bit of handling. That's basically it, and it starts to become pretty repetitive after a while. I do plan on throwing some variety into that mix later. I would absolutely love to go out finding some centipedes in the wild. I imagine it'd make for a really fun trip, and even if I don't really find anything, some very nice scenery, and I'm sure it'll be a very fun trip for me anyway. That being said, it's obviously going to be a while before I can do any of that, at least a couple years or so, because, well, I haven't even started driving. Nevertheless, I've already begun to plan ahead, to be honest. I've got a good idea of some nice places to go. For instance, the area of far north Queensland, especially the area around Cairns, seems to be an absolutely brilliant place to find Ethmostigmus rubriapes. You have a high density of quite a lot of colour forms in a single small area. You got Corunda rubriapes, they're the ones with those bluish-green legs that everyone seems to like. There's also just your classic tigers, the Cairns greens, which I haven't really featured that much on this channel, but they're pretty cool looking centipedes as well. Black rubriapes, which I don't have, very rare in the hobby, and I'd absolutely love to get my hands on one of those. And a few others as well, all in one pretty small area, so if I could ever make a trip up there, I'm sure it'd be great. Further inland is also some cool stuff. Recently I saw some photos posted on Facebook of a bunch of centipedes and other invertebrates and reptiles that were escaping from floodwater, and, well, I will just let the photos do the telling for you. If you look closely, you'll be able to tell that there are two species of centipedes there. There's Scolopendra morsitans, the same species as the one in this video, just a different colour form and bright orange unbanded variant, as well as Ethmostigmus rubriapes. They're those big bulky ones you can see. Those are the black-headed variants, which are allegedly the largest rubriapes variant in Australia. I can certainly say that this one, in this particular image, looks absolutely massive. And needless to say, I would absolutely love to make a trip out that direction one day. But as I said before, it won't be for a long time. There's also some areas rather closer to where I live where I could also find some cool stuff potentially. I know the area around Mugra has a great abundance of scorpions of the genus Hormurus, presumably, but then again, that's a national park, so all I can really do is look, which in itself should be pretty fun anyway. Don't have to keep everything I find after all. You can also find green and tiger-form rubriapes reasonably close to my area around Brisbane. I haven't yet been able to see that many of them in the wild. I've only ever seen Ethmostigmus rubriapes in the wild a couple of times. One time was on a school camp at Mugra. It was a juvenile green form rubriapes, and another time, a good deal later, up on a school trip around Cape York, I found 5 pretty good sized tiger form rubriapes in the space of 2 days, so they're obviously pretty abundant around there. I also plan on doing a bit of, I had been planning on doing a bit of breeding for quite some time, and I was going to do it earlier this summer, but that was interrupted when I had 5, I kid you not, 5 centipedes lay eggs within the same month. So naturally that kind of eliminated any immediate need to breed any of my current centipedes. I've so far had a reasonable amount of success selling off the babies, Australia only unfortunately if you're interested. So yeah. And I did very recently, in fact, buy a female Goldfield Scolopendra morsitans, a variant kind of similar to this, except overall much more yellowish in colour as opposed to orange. And I already have a couple males of that form, so hopefully I can get those breeding as well. I also got a big Kuranda rubripes. It looks way thicker than any Kuranda I've ever seen before, so hopefully it's pregnant. If the same luck I've had for the last couple months has been holding up, then it definitely will be. This centipede, as you can see, is really calm now. I've been working with this one for a fair while, I'd say maybe 3 months or so. At the moment it's got to the stage where it's basically as calm as my first centipede, another Scolopendra morsitans, was. However, the whole taming process, I do prefer to call it taming as opposed to socialization, which most guys in the hobby seem to call it, was much less straightforward with this individual. With the old one, it was pretty much a straight uphill trend, you know, no dramas, every handling session was better than the last. This one, it went up and down a lot. There were some days it was calmer, other days it went mad. I did take a couple bites, none of them with venom, thankfully. But in the end, we got to the same place, it just took a whole lot longer. I've also been working with the largest of my cans, green rubripes, and it's been coming along pretty nicely. Rubripes in general aren't as straightforward to work with as Scolopendra morsitans. But it's been coming along well, it's calmed down a fair bit. I did actually take a pretty bad bite from that centipede about a month ago. Thankfully I was still on holidays then, so it didn't really screw me over for anything. But for a centipede of that size, it's not overly huge, about 12 centimeters or so. It was quite painful and caused a pretty uncomfortable amount of swelling. Well, that's that for this video. I hopefully should be able to upload fairly frequently once I can get my time management a bit better. At the moment I'm just too damn lazy for anything, to be honest. So hopefully I shall see you again soon. Thanks for watching.